Overnight, my world has changed. The gnawing hunger inside me. Every night, it must be appeased. The thing I've become. A vampire.
As you may be able to see, we are taking it back to old London to talk about Vampyr. Guys, why London?
Why London? Because it's a perfect city for Vampyr. There is fog, there is rain, it's gloomy. So since we tried to create a game that has a very gothic atmosphere, London was the perfect town for us.
Who are you and what are you doing in London?
You're Dr. Jonathan Reed. You're a doctor who just came back from the war. It's old London, but not Victorian London. It's just after the First World War, during the Spanish flu, which is the worst pandemic the world has ever known. And it's a time, a difficult, trying time for humanity, and it's a time ripe for the vampire to strike again. And as it happens, you are one of them. You are one of the predators.
So, a vampire that's also a doctor. This spells moral decisions and implications. Do you guys want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, in fact, for us it was interesting because, you know, the beginning of the 20th century was an era when science was becoming, I would say, more relevant than superstition and old superstitions. So it was very interesting for us to create a main character who has scientific background and who's turned against his own will into a vampire and who has now to accept his new condition. Throughout the game he will try to have, I would say, a scientific analysis on his new condition. He considers vampirism as a disease and he would like to find a cure. But that's not that easy because he has to kill to survive. Just to survive each night he has to kill. So his problem is he tries to stay human and to heal the sick people because of the Spanish flu. And at the same time, he has to murder some of them in order to survive as a vampire. So the game is really about that, I would say, ambiguous morality. You have to pick up your targets. And that's what a vampire has to do.
It's really about the duality of the hero. First, he's a human who struggles with this new nature of vampire. And it's about science, who just kind of killed God with all the advances it made. And this is really what Dr. Reed believes, but he's faced with something mystical again. He has to question everything.
So how does this ambiguous morality play into the gameplay?
Well, there is a very easy rule for that. To take the life of a citizen, it's much more rewarding in terms of experience point. You see, so if you want to grow up stronger as a vampire very quickly, the shortest way to that is just to kill a few guys. But each time you kill someone, you get damnation points. So it's the straighter way to hell as well. So you will always have to choose between the way you want to act as a human or as a vampire. There is no going back. You cannot go to the previous saving game. You have to face all the consequences, and there will be different ending in the game according to what you did and how much doomed you are at the end of the game. So it's up to you all the time, but at the end, face your choices.
Who'll look after him now?
It's got a very strong narrative focus, this one.
Of course, yes. That's what we always did in Dontnod studio. We always try to focus on the narration and to give to the players an interesting storyline with strong characters.
So whilst we're parading around ye old London, are we going to bump into any other nasties?
Actually the hero will have to fight some very nasty enemies. Most of them will be humans, vampire hunters, who had many centuries to observe, to die, and fight vampires, and they have deployed a lot of specific combat technique because they know now how to fight against the immortals. But you will also meet a lot of supernatural creatures, some vampire just like you, some much more dangerous and much more rare creatures, and some what we call the skulls. They are lesser species of vampires, something of mutated vampires that perhaps has something to do with the Spanish flu. That will be part of your investigation.
What's important is that as a vampire, You start kinda high in the food chain. You have dominion over all the citizens of London. You can kill as you will, but you will face some large threats which are much higher than you on the food chain too. So.
That sounds really, really interesting, guys. I can't wait to get my hands on it.
My life has become a waking nightmare. I did not choose the thing I've become, but I can choose the lives I now take. Cursed be the choice.